volume called Fugitives that sort of strips away a lot of the more sort of genre-y elements of the show and goes back to a little bit more basic form of who these characters are by making them fugitives. They are
from the government, or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So once they are on the run, they become much more ordinary. When we started the show, our characters were ordinary people in extraordinary situations, and then 3 seasons into it, these characters have become fairly extraordinary.
Yeah.
In full command of their powers and no longer sort of dealing with the what's happening to me of it all. And once that happens, you find that these characters can sort of lose that touch with being ordinary, and so as a challenge for us, for the writers, we have to find ways to go back to that. And this idea of Fugitives was very much an attempt to go back to placing our characters in, making them ordinary again.
Now, are they separating and going their own things, so each are going to have their own stories in a sense?
Well, again, like this show does, it does separate characters by, and that's for all kinds of reasons. One is for the multiple story aspect of the show. The other is for production reasons. Whenever you have more than 2 people in a scene, it takes exponentially longer to shoot. Right. And so getting multiple characters together in scenes is almost impossible for us on a television schedule. So it forces us to tell stories where people are separated a little bit. Okay.
But now you're saying they're going to go back to that sort of basics rather, with them being a little more ordinary people, I guess, an extraordinary situation type thing. Does that mean that they're going to have to sort of mix into society again, that kind of thing?
Exactly. They are blending back into the woodwork.
Okay.
Which then grounds our show, rather than being in the halls of Pinehurst or Primatech, which is a world that is not very recognizable to the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. Our characters are then injected into the real world, where they're among ordinary people and living in, sort of below the radar. And I think it helps ground the show in a kind of reality that helps make the show more relatable.
Right. Well, I mean, the name of the volume, of course, suggests the fugitive itself. Obviously, with them on the run and the police, the government is chasing.
Yeah, I think it's the quintessential idea of that word, whether it's from the old TV show or old movie or not. It's more the definition of the word. If you're on the run, you are
a fugitive.
On the lam, you're hiding out, you're trying to blend in, all those things become part and parcel of that idea.
But do you have to if in this day and age where, if the show's going to be rooted in reality at all, you can trace almost anybody doing anything, it's really hard to disappear into the woodwork.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's part of the fun is that, we are living in a world where the NSA and Homeland Security can find people. And so it becomes, you have to use your powers in order to evade discovery. That's the advantage that our people have. Right. But the volume is not just about running away. It becomes very quickly about finding each other, coming together, and taking the fight to them. So going on the offensive.
So in other words, going apart, then coming together and saying we have to unite to fight back against the people pursuing us. Okay.
In this kind of way, and in a rebel alliance kind of way, which I think again creates that sense of an underdog, which is, I think, highly relatable.
Great. And how many episodes is this volume going to be?
12.
12. Oh, okay. So it's
takes us from episode 14 to episode 25.
Wow.
And we premiere right after the day after the Super Bowl, and we go through mid-May.
When you look back at Volume 3, I'm just curious, in your mind, what are sort of the strengths and weaknesses of what we've just been through with these 13 episodes?
Well, I think it holds together really, really well as a whole. One of the things for our show that's always hard is to analyze it midway through or partway through. Things come together in ways, and it's intended to be viewed in all those. It has to be viewed as a whole. That's how, whether it's viewed week to week or not. We sell DVDs and it's online, and we know that people watch multiple episodes at a time. So it's designed to be consumed in a short amount of time, and that's how it's written and that's how it's designed. And I've always felt that it does play better when you watch them sort of back to back.
Right.
So that being said, I think that it was very tightly conceived to be 13 episodes where everything takes place. I love the whole idea of diving into the Petrelli family and the mythology of the family and meeting the father and all of those issues that arise from having this very powerful patriarchal figure. I think, as I said, I don't know whether tonally, I think, it was maybe a little darker than what who knew that by September that the whole world would fall apart and that people wanted to watch, comedy and that sort of thing, a lighter fare. But
right.
But again, that's something we can't really aim at. We try to make the show as the show that we want to make. So I don't have a lot to say negative about it. I'm my own harshest critic, and every day that I look at dailies, I see something that I wish we would have done differently. But in the whole, I think we did a really nice job with this volume, and I think the fans have really enjoyed it. And we'll look at this volume as being very successful.